Well, Sadie, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's talk briefly what got you into this entertainment industry.
Oh boy, I think I always was interested in acting. I grew up a child in the 80s, so that was like obviously very different then. But I basically did school plays and um I'm from Orange County and I moved there. I moved from Orange County to here and in Los Angeles to pursue acting at a time when that was the only thing you could do. You had to move to LA to pursue acting. Now it's not like that as much, but it just was always kind of burning in my heart.
And what you chose, you went, did you do theater as well?
I did like school theater. I don't think I was particularly good. There was like a lot of musicals and like just very you know uh city-wide stuff. And then I studied under a professor, Mark Majarian, in Orange County, and that was more like acting technique. Eric Morris, and then Tom Ormany was more another professor that I did Meisner. So I started to kind of fall in love with like the actual art of acting, and got very fancy pants about it, but yeah, I really took it seriously and loved it. And yeah, I feel like there's a couple of different kind of actors, ones who really want to be famous and they want to be known, and other ones who, like, if they don't act they'll die. I was that.
Wow. And I want to talk about your recent works. What's your favorite project that you worked on in the past that you can talk about?
Well, I'm very excited about Clutch that just came out. I think it's a really great indie drama thriller, directed by Michael Marino. Um, and it's released by Glass House and it's out on Amazon Prime right now. And I think that that is a very fun, stylized indie thriller. It's about a rideshare driver who gets hijacked, and the night goes very crazy. Michael Pare is in it, and Vernon Wells, and Taivy Lyman, and Mike Ferguson, my friend Augie Duke. Like a lot of, if you're into indie film, there's a lot of names that you will recognize, and like some fun faces that will jump in there, and you'll go, "Oh, I think I know that person."
Wow. And you said it's out on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
All right, people need to go check that out. So everybody needs to
Yeah,
watch
they
it.
need to check it out. That's right. And write a review. Don't forget to write a review.
Yes, please support Miss Sadie and the rest of the cast members. Um, what have you noticed? And I ask everybody about this. What have you noticed the most challenging aspect about being in the entertainment industry? And I know it's a roller coaster. So as yourself and your personal journey and your personal story, what can you talk about that what you noticed from whatever age, I'm sorry, whatever age you started from all the way up till now, and you're still kind of experiencing it, auditions and all that.
I mean, honestly, the hardest part about it is, um, finances. Sometimes you can make a lot of money on something and then not make money for a while. It's a really interesting job to have long term because you put so much work into it that it is longer than a full-time job, but sometimes it's not bringing in, if you put this much money into anything else, you'd be a doctor right now. Like it's occupies such a big part of your life. And so I think the hardest thing is having just the financial backing. And now more than ever, I'm sure, as you know, uh, it's not just like I'm not just an actor. I have to also, be involved in my social media and be involved in, auditions and websites and this and that. It's so much stuff. And I think a lot of people don't know that it's like a business. So you have to have money to put into the business. So, just being a broke actor, eh, it's kind of impossible now. I think there was a time that you could kind of be that and, wait to have some big break, but you have to have money to put back into your business.
And I want to dig into, you said social media. And I think everybody must be wondering, what is Sadie talking about? So let's go into what do you mean by social media, and can you go into details about that?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not great at it. I kind of was a little bit late to the boat, but I think, for me, it's like Facebook, Instagram. I just started to try on TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok person. Twitter. I think just having, it's your own sort of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have a huge following. I don't do it as well or as much as I should. Um, but I'm getting better. I'm working at it. I think it's just like communicating with fans and building, letting people know what you're doing. But it also has a lot to do with um, you have to. A lot of times, making content costs money. If you get new pictures, that costs money. If you boost a post, which sometimes you might want to boost a post. One of the things about Instagram that's really difficult that I don't think people realize is Instagram kind of like once you have a sort of a fan base of 10,000 or more, that changes your account at 10,000. But then sometimes Instagram holds you in that rhythm, like that algorithm, and it's really hard to get new people to see you. So, Instagram's a business. So they're like, okay, pay us. Pay us if you want other people to see this. And I think a lot of people assume like all videos that go viral or are popular are all organic. But I don't think that's the case.
And
You have to have money to do that, right?
right, and I totally agree with you. Instagram is amazing. By the way, I love Instagram. And I know you do as well. And I totally agree. It's Instagram. I feel like we shouldn't have to pay, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree, but I'm just saying it's, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's just weird how the algorithm is works. What do you think?
Oh, that's, you know what? I mean, I understand it does feel like, hmm, that's a really good question, actually. So
I put you on the spot.
it's a good, no, no, I think it's a good question because it feels like it's like when you have this business that we all own a piece of that's very personal to us. It does become a crazy thing because you go like, well, why should I have to pay for this? I'm creating this whole thing. I'm bringing content. And I agree with you on a certain level, but on another level, I'm like, it's a business. They set us up. Like back in the day, like MySpace, like I'm very dating myself, but MySpace kind of fell apart because there wasn't that kind of thing going on with MySpace.
Mm.
So everyone like it didn't. I think Instagram maybe started off where it was like a pure organic thing, and I mean I kind of wish that Instagram didn't have so many clothing ads and beauty ads and the ads can actually be pretty pretty tough as I don't know about you, but as a woman, for me, I'm like, I'm going through and it's like I'm seeing more advertisements than I ever would watching television or reading magazines
Mm-hmm.
constantly. And it's constantly like you could do better, you could do better, you could like you should do this with your hair, you should wear these clothes. So I just don't think there's a way out of it. I think in a perfect world, you're right. It should be like whoever watches it. But I mean, maybe by paying to boost your posts, like occasionally, not all your posts, gives it more of a chance because of course you're gonna be beat by all these ads. There's so many ads on Instagram. It's crazy.
And I totally agree with you. I also go through Instagram, and I think a lot of people does the same like we do. And you're right. We just get ads and ads, and it's like it kind of gets boring because sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to see what's going through Instagram. You like you see something really cool, for example, I'm just gonna say you may see Sadie's ad real quick, and you're like, okay, Sadie's reel is over, and then it goes to another reel, and you're like, okay, cool, and then it's actually a commercial reel for advertisement. And you're like, what? And he keeps scrolling like another one, and your brain is like, I just wanted to see another actor reel, for example, or what, or sports reel. But you're right, I totally get it. And real quick, and then we'll go back. But do you feel like Facebook is dying, or and Instagram is taking over Facebook?
So you have such great questions. Okay. So
Thank
uh,
you.
I think I think Facebook is dying because the people that are on it tend to skew older. And it's funny, like sometimes you'll go on Facebook and I'm like, everyone's mom's dying right now. It's so weird. And then I realize, oh, well, everyone's of a certain age. So they're starting to lose their parents. Or, if you know, if you have enough people, okay, I have way too many people on my page. So I know a couple of people that have cancer. I know someone who, a couple of people that just had babies and weddings. Like there's good things and there's bad things, but it's getting older and older. And I think as people who are Facebook users get older, I think unless they have a lot of young people, it's not going to be that much fun to go on Facebook and hear about like everyone dying, everyone having diseases or, health. I like Facebook because I feel like I can be a little more personal. Like Instagram's so curated. You don't go on Instagram
Hmm.
so you have a bad day. It's kind of odd. Like I go, like that's not what Instagram's for. Like you don't post a bad picture. Like it's a very particular thing. For Facebook, sometimes you can go on and say, "Oh my family member died. I'm having a rough time," and there's a real support group because you've been following people for a long time, or it's your family in another state that's also on your page, or your old coworkers, or so I think Facebook's actually a pretty positive thing. Um, I know politically everyone goes like this, but people don't post as much as they were about politics. But yeah, I mean, will Instagram even be around 5 years from now? Probably not.
The one thing I want to say is I totally agree with you. A lot of younger generation, maybe high school, middle school kids and college students, and of course, like yourself and a lot of famous actors and etc., sports and political people, they are on Instagram. Instagram is the way of life. And I feel like that, young kids, especially this is where we're going into the entertainment industry, you have a lot of young actors or newcomer actors. You have actors who are in the entertainment industry who are making connection through Instagram. And that's the way it is. By the way, that's how I found you. Hint. Anyway, so you know, but Instagram is the way. You get in your community. You're a new actor, you're a new actress, and if you like, for example, you're a mother and you're, monitoring your child's Instagram, and you're like, well, my child's an actor, wants to meet more people in the entertainment industry. I'm not in as a parent, I'm not in the entertainment industry. What can I do? And you start posting, you try to find people who are in the entertainment industry, and that's where you find connections. So I totally see where you're coming from because Facebook, I noticed there's not really a certain section that you can type in a search bar and say, okay, I'm going to look up, for example, I don't know, Tom Cruise or something. Like, I don't know, I'm just naming things. And you're like, well, I can't find it, right? There's a bunch of names. So I do see what you're saying, and I notice it. Instagram is really growing, and they're taking advantage. Um, and also, real quick, you may agree, YouTube is dying. I
So
think.
I think YouTube is getting bigger. So we can agree to disagree, but hear me out.
No, no, that's why I paused. I want to hear you.
So I think that YouTube is taking over television. So
Mm.
changing, like it's changing the way that people watch television. My husband and I will like lay down to watch TV, and sometimes we'll find like we follow a bunch of different podcasts. And we'll watch the news, we'll watch funny videos. He's a musician, so we'll watch that. So I feel like it's weird because if you think about like old movies, like dystopian futuristic movies, they always had like max headroom, and they were like low, like they're it's always like in the future they're watching really shitty television. That's YouTube. Really, like I do feel like, especially the young people, they're used to watching YouTube. They consume
Okay.
this. I mean, look, I love movies and I love like really great TV. So I would love nothing more for everyone to go to the movie theater like we used to on, gosh, when I was like 20, I went to the movie theater Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes a Sunday matinee. I had to watch a movie like the day it came out, I'd be at the theater. And it's just not like that anymore.
I totally agree with you. To me, I thought YouTube was dying, but when you said what you were saying, I see what you're saying, and it is growing. I mean, it's like, wow, you're right. It is growing. It is, and it really made me think that way. So thank you for sharing that. I didn't think it that way. I really didn't until you
Well, we'll
said that.
see. I could be wrong. I mean, it just seems like more and more. It's funny because
Hmm.
we're rewatching The Sopranos, which is like my third time watching The Sopranos, and there's a lot. It's funny. You go on TV and you'll be like, "What should we watch?" And you'll just flip through like a billion things. There's unlimited amount of things, and sometimes I'll get frustrated and then I'll find that I'm like on YouTube and you can always find something immediately,
That
which is
is
an
true.
odd thing. Like, I mean, it's not always great, but I think that it feels like the commitment level is less. So it's a little bit tough if you're like going on Amazon, you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch a movie. By the time you find what you want to watch, it's been an hour. So you're like, yeah, forget it. I'll watch that later, and then you end up putting on YouTube Short.
Yeah, that's true. YouTube, you can type in old movies and find them.
I know.
Yeah,
You
it's mind blowing. So you can like
can,
type in like 1950s and 70s and 80 movies, and you're like, wait, you can watch the whole
well,
thing?
that's the thing. You could right now. I'm sitting like at my little vanity here. Yeah, I could type in this and say, how do I use this product? And there will be a demo video.
Right.
So weird. You buy something and you have to put it together. I have a toddler, so I'm putting
Yeah,
everything.
it's
There's videos, and not only one, like not just one video.
a
There's like
bunch.
a bunch of videos. There's more.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's kind of wild to me, like
it is.
that happened.
And I really believe, now it made me think about it. Correction. I believe YouTube and Instagram is taking over. Um, and I, sorry, X is dying. X
X
is
is like
dying.
that. He should have never renamed it X. There's something about it weird. Like I don't know why, because it's been a while now. Every time I say it, I'm like, I Twitter or X. I always think someone doesn't know what I'm talking about. And I have like 4,000 followers on X, and I still don't know how Twitter works. I'm not
Me
really
neither.
sure. I don't really know like why I would be on there. Like it's not that interesting to me. I
Hmm.
don't understand. Like I understand that Twitter has a lot of, or X has a lot of trolling, but I don't know if I want to go on a site just
Yeah.
to do that. And I think X is really great for like when something just happens. You want to
Mm-hmm.
and see because it's really fast. Like it normally has the news before anyone else. But I don't find it to be like an enjoyable.
I
Like
totally
you
agree
get
with you.
sucked into Instagram. Instagram can take your life away. Like if you know, are spacing off, you're lying in bed, you could easily spend 2 hours on like whatever Instagram has that like rhythm. And now they have the videos and the shorts. You can't, to me, spending that anytime on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, can I just do what I need to do and get off of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it. Isn't it funny? Like you have like a different life. Your little your avatar is having a completely different life. I feel like my avatar on Twitter X is lost. It's found a little bit, says a couple things, and then wanders off the party. That's how I feel.
I totally agree with you. 100%.
Yeah.
Um, Now get back to acting real quick. What is the dream role you want to do?
Well, I'm working on a project right now called Burn It Down, and that's a little, I don't want to give away anything about it, but we're like in the financing stage. So, knock on wood. Uh, it's a little,
Your head.
my head, it's a little Thelma and Louise meets like a vengeance film, a jilted mother. Uh, and to me, all roles, like, I just am interested in playing women that have a bit of like an edge. I'm older, so I actually, you think that as you get older, you'll be like, oh, I wish I could play this, innocent ingenue, but it's actually exciting to play people who have like really lived. So I think characters were like that have like layered and nuance is interesting to me. It's fun to pretend to be a character that's got lots of going on that you want to like peel like an onion, and as opposed to like someone you go, oh, like, oh, I want to play a princess. Well, I would rather play like a deranged lunatic, or a mother going through a terrible divorce who decides to do a bank robbery, like someone with lots of things going
Mm-hmm.
on in life experience.
It's storytelling, that's for sure. Like yourself and many more actors and actresses out there. They're telling people's real stories, sometimes not real stories, and we hope to change the aspect or person's view in a movie theater or at home. You want to change one person's mind, you
Right.
hope,
Yeah.
right? And that's the one thing about the entertainment industry. So I gotta ask, what is the most pivoted moment in your career?
Well, I think when I got Wrong Turn was a big deal, obviously, because it's such a widely known franchise. And that was like, I kind of, like, I knew when I was up for it, I knew that at least if I got it, that would mean that I would probably be able to continue working, even in like indie films or horror. I knew that would be a really big deal. And sometimes I think about like like actors. I don't know about you, but actors get really superstitious, and I think I was like checking my horoscope. I like waiting for that call if you're gonna get the part, and like dreaming about it, and like I actually remember that I was waiting to find out, and I had my other son because I have two sons, and my other son was 13 at the time. It was like 11 years ago, and I had to arrange for someone to come stay with him because I'd be gone for 4 weeks in Bulgaria because that's where we were shooting, and they weren't really telling me, and it would be like they were going to tell me, and then I'd have to leave in 3 weeks, and you also have all this preparation you need to do. And so every time my phone would ring, like my stomach would drop. I remember I was walking at the mall and I was talking to my aunt, and I was kind of saying like how amazing it would be if this was like everything was so like electric. You're just waiting to find out, and a lot of sleepless nights of just thinking like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, what if I get it and I'm not good enough? Or what if, I also have to leave my 13-year-old for almost 4 weeks, which would be the longest we're apart. And so there's all this stuff in the air. And I remember I got in the shower and I had this feeling. I was like, the second I get in that shower, the phone's going to ring. And when it rang, I tripped out of the shower. It was such a fun, wonderful moment. And the woman who called me was like screaming, excited because I know, like that's the really what people don't always tell you is like the people who get to say you got the part, like they know, hey, this is like a really cool, wonderful thing. And it does feel magical. Like, it's not like other jobs. There's something, it's a limited time job and it feels magical. And they're like, we're planning the limo to pick you up. I need your passport and things. And that was really cool. And I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. And it was like that's like a moment that honestly I could tell the story 8,000, and I've told it so many times, like 8,000 times, and I could almost cry every time because it was just like you work so hard to get to that. And a lot of times people will say, oh well, one day you'll get an Oscar, or one day, and I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Like you're excited to have your wins. Like a win is a win. It's not less of a win because it's not, you know, the TV show Friends. It's like it's still in your career, your steps. That was a really big deal for me, and I
Wow.
will never ever not think that that was really fucking cool.
That's really inspiring. It really is. Testimony and journeys of, roller coaster for you. And, like you didn't know what was going to happen in your career. You were probably thinking about maybe I should, no, I'm just going to go ahead and say this, going to give up or what am I going to do? And, you were just in, you were going through a moment and and it happened, a miracle happened, and here you are doing so many great roles, and it's a testimony showing and telling other actors out there, don't give up, keep the courage, keep fighting, because you never know, keep auditioning, keep going. And
I think people now though have to even more so is you really have to make your own roles. And I I mean, one of the things I say to people is like it's sort of like a woman or a man who puts they they put their sights too high. They're like, I only want to get married if he's 6'4", a billionaire. He likes everything about me. He's got blue eyes and black hair, whatever. And a lot of times people like that, their their life never gets really going for them, or then when it does, they go, well, I like him, but I don't like his job, or I met his brother and his brother and I did like all this stuff. I think pursuing arts or entertainment, yeah, a lot of it has to be that you have to decide that you're going to be in it and love it, and like let your wins be what they are. I think that's really important, and not set your goals way out of league. Like, if you're like, hey, I am not going to be successful with this podcast unless I'm Joe Rogan. Like, unless I get, $100 million contract, I failed. I think a lot of actors kind of do that. They're like, unless I'm a series regular, which is like 0.1% of all,
hmm
then I didn't really do well and I wasted my life. I didn't make it. And I just don't think it works that way. And maybe there was another time back in the day when there wasn't so many people pursuing this and there wasn't so many avenues. So, yeah, I'm like, set your goals so they're reachable. And then when you get that goal, do a goal that's realistic a little bit more. And, you're just sort of, you're, you're
Move up the
busy
ladder.
where you need to go, right? Yeah.
100%. 100%. I'm gonna ask this because older actors and actresses and younger actors like these two ways, but do you like in-person audition or self-tape auditions? Because I know a lot of younger actors, they love self-tapes. They don't have to worry about being there. All this stuff. And I know you're shaking your head, so I'm gonna let you answer. But in person, you can do your impression. So Miss Sadie, tell me what you think.
So acting's like a lonely profession, right? It's like writers on the storm. So the idea that there's all these young actors, you're right, and there's some all ages like say, oh, I love doing taped auditions. Uh, it makes me really sad because what that did too is it killed, it really has killed needing to live in Los Angeles. So Hollywood doesn't exist the way it used to by any means. So California doesn't exist the same way, and LA doesn't exist. But also, you could very easily pursue acting and not really see anyone and maybe book twice a year and be stuck in your home. And I don't think that's great for the artist. Like, I think the really amazing thing, there were days that were my best days and my worst days, but like driving around in Los Angeles with my convertible, trying to get like fighting traffic, like you're part of the city. The city is yours. Like, when I used to audition a lot more, you drive by places and you go, oh, that I got this part there, I shot there, I like you're part of like this whole fabric of society. I mean, really back in the day you would go to Kinko's and everyone would be stapling their headshots, and it was like sort of an office because you'd have to like print out, you print out everything, you'd staple them, you'd be stuffing envelopes. And so the sense of community was so much more. I don't actually know, like my 24-year-old son told me the other day that the suicide rate is so high for young people. It's like the number one cause of death. And I'm like, yeah, because we're all in our homes thinking that everybody else is having the greatest experience and we're not connected enough. And like, it's hard. Like doing a taped audition is not, it's not, I mean, look, you have to do it. You have to be okay with it. But it doesn't it doesn't give the same sense of accomplishment. I also think too, if you've ever done casting, you get like 1,000 videos. It's insane, or 1,000 submissions. And if you're looking for a blonde and you've got 400 blondes, it's really, people can say like, oh, the right person jumps up, and they kind of do. But I think you miss in the room perhaps someone that you vibe with. So sometimes you'll show up to set and it's like it's someone not that talented, but they got cast off of a taped audition, or all the actors are starting to look exactly the same. Everyone's nose is like this, and their lips are like that, and they look good, but they're not interesting. So you're not like, there's a lot of beautiful
Mhm.
influencers, but I don't know if you want to watch a movie about them.
Interesting. Very interesting. I learned another aspect. You have helped a lot of audience that, California is kind of dying because there's no in-person not self in-person auditions, and and what's the bad news about it.
Well, there's also like, they're dying because of the tax incentives, they're dying. But I'm
Right,
saying
right, that
what,
too, but
yeah, once you made it more where people could live other places, which, good for other states. Maybe to be fair, it's other people's turn. But, there was a reason that people came to Los Angeles
yes.
all around the world to pursue this thing.
Amen.
And it gave you a community.
Yes, it
You
is.
go to lunch, and like I've lived in a bunch of different places. You go to North Hollywood, and it's a bunch of young people who are pursuing dancing and acting, and like it made the city be special, and it gave people like a common interest.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go to like buildings sometimes, and it's a lot of influencers, so maybe they've taken that a little bit. But gosh, there was a real artsy, you could take acting classes in LA, and like they were hard. And not only were they hard, like there's still classes, but it's not the same. Like
Yeah.
to be with people like sobbing and crying, and like you both like really believe in this craft of it. And it's not the same.
Nah, 100%. I totally agree with you. Um, what would you tell a 6-year-old Sadie?
uh I would tell a little 6-year-old, it's Sadie, but
Sadie, I'm sorry,
no,
Sadie.
because I keep trying to think, how do I pronounce your name?
Ryochi.
Ryochi. Okay.
Yes.
So, and for
Sorry, I'm so sorry I've said your name wrong. I feel so bad.
that's okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Don't you dare. It's hilarious. And people do it all the time. Like
Okay.
um 6-year-old me. Uh I I I like to think about this. I think 6-year-old me, like when I was 6 years old, all I wanted to do was one day get to see a movie be filmed. That's how I didn't even think about, like, I wanted to be in it, but the idea of, like, I remember the first time I went on set, I said, if I get to just get my makeup one day done in a trailer, I'll die happy. I don't want anything else. 6-year-old me would be so excited and really proud and be like, oh my God, like the worst movie I've ever done times six. Like, I would be like, oh, I don't care. I don't care that the movie's bad. I don't care. I got to do a movie. So I think 6-year-old me I would tell her like, hey, it's okay. Things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen, and you just keep kind of dreaming and believing. Um, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And I gotta ask, did you ever thought you see yourself this far in your career?
Well, I'm hoping that I keep getting to build it more and
No, I
more.
mean that too, but did you ever
Um,
see yourself
well,
coming to this part?
I don't know. I mean, for like 10 years, it was in my 20s, like being, blonde hair, blue eye girl in Los Angeles in your 20s. There's a lot of people you're competing against, and they look just like you. Like, you haven't. When I did in person auditions, I would be sitting in the waiting room, and it would be crazy. I'd be like, oh my God, there's like 6 girls here who could be my sister or my cousin. Like, it was really crazy and really intense. And just to get an audition was impossible. So, no, I mean, I didn't know anyone in the business either. So I think I I kind of had figured that I just wouldn't give up, and I'm not the type of person to give up, and that I would keep trying different angles, or I would write something. I always felt like I would do something that was tied into something I was also writing or um, producing. But I'm pretty excited that I've got to like travel out of the country multiple times and shoot something. I've gone to some cool film festivals. I've done some movies that I really really loved. I just did a project called Residual with a friend of mine that I knew for years. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about that yet, but I'll say it's funny because um, they asked me to do the project, and he's the producer of it and the writer. And like we knew each other. He was a door guy at all these like clubs with like Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan. And we used to talk all the time, like, we're going to do this one day. It's going to be so great. So I think then if I would have said, hey, guess what? This is what your future looks like, I would have been like, that's great. I'll take it. Yes. Okay. I'll be fine with that. That's enough for me. That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. My last two questions.
Right.
Um,
Make them good. Make them good.
I would try. I gotta ask this because you're a parent,
Okay.
and a lot of parents who are not in the entertainment industry, and I ask a lot of actors these questions as well, who are parents, and there's kids out there who may be looking up to you or looking up to all the actors out there who want to get in the entertainment industry. What is your advice for parents who want to get their kids in the entertainment industry? And my last one is, what's your advice for all the fans out there and all the young kids who want to pursue their dream to be an actress and actor in the entertainment industry?
Um, I think for the parents, I wouldn't want my kid to be involved uh unless it was just like who they were, like it burned in them the same way. I worked with this kid once, and his mom was so cool on set, Dominic. And his mom treated him like he was in a sport. So she would rehearse and practice with him, but when he got on set, he kind of like did his thing. Like, is he going to kick the ball? Is it going to work? And he had such great instincts, but he ended up wanting to play baseball. So, which is crazy because he was a really good actor. I think for parents, unless it's like your kid can't breathe without it, I would I would just put them in school plays and let them kind of have fun with that. I think it's really tough. Like, you think about these kids who get like they get a series when they're 5 years old, and then they're on the series for 10 years. A lot of times the actors don't stay in touch with these kids. It's almost like they're family, but the actors move on. And I think that can be really traumatic. And you have to have a kid who's like really okay with that. And you won't know until they go through it. So I don't think I would want any, I would advise to have a kid involved unless it's like they're an actor. This is like they need it to live. Because I don't know. I like it's difficult. It's a really difficult thing. And if your kid ends up being a really successful child actor, that doesn't always translate. So they can't be a child again. That's it. But they could always decide, like, oh, growing up, I went to school, I did some great plays, I had a lot of fun. Maybe I got to do a movie here or there. And then when they're an adult, they can pursue acting. I don't know. I think it's a tough thing. You get one childhood, so they better, if they show up every day to set and say this is the greatest thing, then cool. But if not, go to school, have fun. Yeah. Being on
It
set
is,
stressful, it's fun, but it's work.
you're right. Being in the entertainment industry, you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You really do. And you have to get used to, and you know this for sure, with auditions with the no's.
Yeah.
You may get 100 no's until you get a yes.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. You don't really get no's. You just get silence. So, especially if you're doing taped auditions, I think a lot of the kids probably have managers or agents that are a little communicate a little bit more, but still, like, you could work your butt off on and it happens all the time. You work your butt off on an audition and then you turn it in and you're like, oh my God, you're connected. This character is me. How could they not say anything? And then you hear absolutely nothing. You don't even know if they watched the video. I mean, if I could do one thing to change what's going on amongst a lot of things, is I would say if a casting director asks you to send a video, they should have to write one or two sentences. We loved it, we hated it, thank you, or that was great, but not for us. Because a lot of times you don't even know if they watched the video, which is wild.
Mm.
So you have a kid, you're like, oh, I've been doing all these fun videos in my bedroom, but I don't even know if anyone's watching it.
That's true. That makes a good point. I didn't think about that, you know?
I mean, at least when you did, like, there was a certain thing with like in-person auditioning. There was a bigger win when you go in the room. Sometimes it was terrible because you go in and you go, oh, I went through all this and I just goofed up in 1 minute. But there's a sense of accomplishment. You're also outside,
Hmm.
um, and you at least know that you got in front of them, and you're building a relationship. Maybe next time they'll see you and go, yeah, you did that one thing. Um, the nose can be non-existent. It's just silence.
That's true. 100%. I forgot to ask you this, but who who really impacted you in your life so far in the entertainment industry?
Oh, in the entertainment industry. Gosh, I have so many people. I had a roommate, Michael Stevens, who's so funny, who wrote me today, and he's like, "I'm so proud of you." Who, when we lived together, he like moved out, and instead of me getting a roommate, he's like, "I'm still gonna rent a room for you because I don't want you to have to worry about getting a roommate. You just concentrate." So he like paid for a room that he wasn't even living in to kind of support um, me pursuing this wild dream. I worked for Glenn Larson, Glenn A. Larson, who did like Knight Rider and Battlestar Galactica and Fall Guy in my early 20s. He passed away, but he was hugely influential on me. Michael Marino, who I just did Clutch with, like he wrote it for me. I worked with another director, Jim Towns, who wrote me multiple projects and really good female characters. So I feel like I I could actually like sit here and just keep saying like a ton of people. I do feel like even though sometimes I get really sad and I'm like, oh, this business, I have had a lot of people at different times in my life. Like, my husband, my son, my older son is amazing. And like even when I'd be like, hey, my poor 13-year-old son, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this part where I like murder someone with my bare hands and my boobs out. Like, I'm sorry, don't hate me for this. And he'd be like, you can do it, mom. You're gonna be great. Like, like this is your dream. It's acting. So I feel like I do have a lot of appreciation for people who, you know, show up. It's a weird thing. It's really hard sometimes for people to support you on the level they want because it's people are scared to pursue their own dreams. So when you talk about,
Hmm.
well, don't get your hopes up or you don't want to get too excited. So you have to have people too who are also like, when you go, guess what? I'm gonna be in the background of this movie, and they're excited and say that's great. And then when you say I booked my movie, they're still excited and say that's great. Because sometimes people don't want you to win. So or they don't know it. Winning scares them and losing scares them. They just want you to stay the same. So,
That's
you know,
absolutely amazing to hear. Amazing. All the people that have impacted you, and that's really touching. Um, what's the best advice you ever heard or received?
fuck them if they can't take a joke. That's it. That's It's a bye-bye.
Well, it's been an honor. Thank you for coming on. I am so honored to have you on, and I'm looking forward to all the upcoming projects you'll be doing. And I definitely can't wait to have you back on again in the future soon.
I would love that. And I can't wait to watch your show and to find out all of a sudden I'll be like, hey, I need to get back on that show. And you'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm interviewing Angelina Jolie. Sydney,
You know,
please
it,
on
it
the
it's
phone.
it's been an honor. Everything hearing your story and your career leading up to now, it's touching. It's also inspiring. What I've learned about you a little bit is that you didn't give up. You thought about giving up. You kept doing it. You kept going, and you do your auditions, you do your roles, and having someone watch your son, and trying to, all that touching story I've heard from you is inspiring, but it also shows you and tells me as yourself as a mother, trying to raise your kids, and your son, and you want to stay on this dream. You didn't want to give up. That is an emotional story because that shows you did not want to give up. That's the key word. You did not want to give up. You kept fighting, you kept going. And it's absolutely a testimony. It's a testimony to a lot of mothers out there who are in the entertainment industry who may be going through a similar story as yours. I think you are going to impact a lot of women out there. I'm being honest. I think you are because a lot of women out there who are probably facing a similar situation you are, you have inspired them because you did it, you showed you did it, and look who you are right now still doing it. That's a testimony. It really is that you didn't you how I'm leaving it, it's like you didn't give up. That's the big thing. You didn't give up. You kept the courage. And it takes guts, what I've learned. That it takes guts. Because you could,
It
like
takes
I
guts
said, you
and
could,
maybe a little stupidity to just not.
well, I mean, that
You
too, but
going like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Like, I mean, I always am like, I'm done with this. I'm done. And then the problem is I'll be like, I'm done. And then I'll get a text message. Hold on 1 second.
it's, it's,
I'm bad gamblers. Okay, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And you go, one last bet. That's one
it's an
bet.
instant.
It's a normal person. I know. And then but when you get the good calls, oh man, you get the good calls, then it's like worth it.
Yes, that's my point. It's an instance you didn't give up. You kept going.
Yes.
That again, like I said, it really is a testimony. Thank you for sharing your testimony.
Thank you. It was nice hanging out with
Well,
you on
thank you,
Friday
and
night. Thank you.
you're very welcome. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. I would love to have you back again.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Okay, I'll talk to you
Thank you
soon.
so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.